Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chawanne Burns. Please click that like button and that subscribe button. So, yeah, there you have it, folks. Trump just signed an executive order. Actually, he signed 4 of them. And in today's video or today's live session, we're going to talk about the details of those executive orders and what we can expect in the weeks coming with those executive orders. So if this is the first time you're tuning into my channel, my name is Chawanne Burns. Click that like button and that subscribe button. And also share this video with a person you think that needs to hear this. So please put in the comment section where you're from, and if you've been following the stimulus bill and you're happy about it. So let's dive into it. So Trump, he signed an executive order, and that order was for 4 different things that they've been trying to negotiate in Congress. And during his speech, during the press conference, he stressed to the media that since the Democrats was dragging their feet and was being unreasonable, he decided to go ahead and draw up the executive order and sign them. And one of those things, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the housing moratorium. So he just extended the housing moratorium. Actually, so those evictions that that people are processing now, they will be stayed. So if you're facing an eviction notice or a foreclosure notice, or if you are back, your forbearance expired on your house for your mortgage, though that has been extended out until the end of December. So I'm just going to pull up if they posted the language for those bills. So one was the housing moratorium, which is a good thing. And I've always been saying that they needed to sign that bill. The second one that that President Trump decided to sign was for the pandemic unemployment. Now, the pandemic unemployment, he did not give people or the unemployed the $600, which was, I guess I don't think they was going to sign that into Congress anyway. But so he did extend it for $400. However, there's a catch to that. He said 25% of that $400 is up to the state to pay. So really, he assigned an executive order for $300 pandemic unemployment, extra unemployment assistance. And most states, I doubt if they have enough money in their budget to fit that $100 or foot that $100 bill per week for all the unemployment claims. Put it in the comment section if you know that your state is broke and they needed some assistance, financial assistance with this stimulus package. Put that in the comment section. Shout out to Roberta, Lisa Williams from Los Angeles, Brina Lynn, Haya from Dallas, Texas. Hey, how you doing? Alan K. Williams, Dallas, Texas. So we got 2 people from Texas. And Valerie's Plan. Valerie's Plan, you was on here last night. So thank you for joining us again. And you are from Arizona. Mixed feelings because the governor has to pay the 25%. And this is for Valerie's. Valerie's, hopefully I'm not saying your name correctly. I'm like bad with names. Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering about, because 25%, $100 per unemployment claims per week. I think that's gonna really eat up at the bank, and I'm fearing that most people won't see that money if you're filing for unemployment, because I know just Michigan. I live in Michigan, and I know they are financially strapped. Matter of fact, they were talking about laying off people, state and city workers, not too long ago. So like I said, he probably should have just said $300 that the federal is putting up, and as a good faith, we will hope that the states will foot the other $100, but I don't know. He didn't say it that way. Anyway, so pandemic unemployment, that's the $400 extended. The mortgage moratorium and the renters moratorium, that was extended to December. Also, we have the student loans. Student loans is 1% or 0%. So if you were in student loans forbearance, they are not charging you on a normal forbearance of a student loan. Interest does accumulate, but since the pandemic unemployment, that interest is zero. That interest is zero, so you don't accumulate interest during this time, and that was extended to December the 1st. So let's see who we have online. Windy City Trucker. I'm assuming that you're from Chicago. Josh Kelly. Hello, Josh. Josh Kelly. You're from Chicago as well. Chicago is my home state or hometown. Illinois is my home state. So yeah, student loans. If you have student loans, you're not accumulating student loan interest right now until December the 1st. Okay, and some of those, I believe, the student loans is in forbearance too. But I don't. You know what? He didn't mention that, because I know student loans are in forbearance. I have student loans, so I was glad it was in forbearance. Okay, and that last thing that he signed into the executive order is kind of confusing because it's a payroll tax. He called it a holiday payroll tax. So payroll tax is basically Social Security tax, and Medicare tax. That equals about 7% of what you pay in and what the employers pay in. So he called it the holiday payroll tax. So I'm assuming that you don't have to pay into your payroll for a certain amount of time. He kept on saying, and I'm saying Donald Trump, he was saying starting in August, but it's really, I believe they're going to start it in September. So you'll get 7% of, or you will see a reflection of 7% back into your check. It's actually 7.65%. Okay. So it's like every $1,000 you earn, you'll see $76 of that back. So let me know your thoughts. Do you feel like those 4 executive orders that Donald Trump just signed a few hours ago, do you feel like that just really encompass all of the things that we really needed right away? Or should he gone a step, or have gone a step further to sign more executive orders? I'm not for sure if people are worrying about the payroll protection plan. Now that expired today. I know people was last minute calling me up or instant messaging me on Facebook and Instagram trying to take advantage of it. So you think he should have signed that or extended that today or signed an executive order for that since they couldn't come to agreement? Or do you think this is enough to cover? Or maybe he should have signed an executive order to dish out those stimulus checks. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? So I'm going to pull up to see if I could find the written bill on the executive order. Payroll taxes. What really concerns me is that pandemic unemployment. Because that pandemic unemployment, like I said, most states are broke because of all the extra money that they had to spend dealing with the coronavirus. So I can't see why he would just leave it up to the states to foot that $100 per week per claim bill. I mean, to me, that's just kind of backwards right there. Please shout out where you're from. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure, can you guys hear me? Are you online? Let me see, executive order. Okay, so it's saying that yeah, it's saying that that 600 or that $400 weekly unemployment aid, Trump says the 25% of the money should be paid by states. So like I said, I don't know how that's gonna work out. Also, the payroll tax payments. So it starts between September through December. People who earns less than $100,000 a year, those are the people who benefit payroll tax payment. And like I said, that payroll tax Medicaid, and you're basically saving $76 per $1,000 that you make or that you earn between that time period. So I mean, that would do some good, paying taxes. Let's see. Okay, I am still having received unemployment since April. I think the check should have been priority. Roberta, you haven't, so you filed a claim and you haven't received the payroll pandemic unemployment? That's kind of crazy. Roberta, what city and state do you live in? Valerie said he knew what he was doing. Yeah, he did. I mean, that he probably got, what's his name? The Secretary of Treasury. His opinion and all the Republicans' opinion. They didn't want to give up no money anyway. Milton Shepard, I am from money earning Mount Vernon, New York. I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me loud and clear. Hardin 54, Trump just doing this, trying to vote, trying to vote in the election. He's trying to buy his way into the election. That was Hardin 54. Yes, that's so funny. Brennan Lynn, I think we are shocked. Well, at least, I am. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked, but I knew he was going to do it yesterday the way he was talking. He knew something had to be done. I don't know, this going back and forth, Republican and Democrat. One of the things that people need to realize, the Democrats, they didn't want to sign that bill only because that $400 pandemic unemployment, whatever. And now they're saying 25% has to come from the state. That bill was that they decreased down to $2.4 million yesterday. It included funding for the states, so for him to say, oh, I hope that, I'm leaving it up to the states to foot that 25% of the pandemic unemployment. Well, that's the point. The Congress knew, or they know, that their states, the state that they live in, are in jeopardy of funding, and this is the problem that they've been having. And they're trying to act like they're spending all this frivolous money and asking for this frivolous stuff, and it's really not frivolous. That $910 billion was for the funding for the states to be able to handle the coronavirus and for testing and all that stuff. But it didn't include that extra $100 or 25% of pandemic unemployment, because they assumed that the pandemic unemployment was coming directly from the federal government. Okay, I don't understand why they put that executive order. Really think about it. If you really dissect it for what it is, because executive order, you're taking control of what the states or the Congress couldn't take control of, and you're saying, oh, I got this. But no, you're saying, oh, I got it only 75% of the way. It's like really ridiculous. Valerie said, exactly, Trump is a mess. He called Nancy crazy. I was out at that time. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I got my own personal opinion about Trump. I'd rather stay positive. Roberta, I'm in Maryland. I've been following our Department of Labor on Twitter page, or Department of Labor Twitter page, and the amount of complaints from the individuals who have not received the unemployment benefits is crazy. Yeah, I mean, they're not processing the claims. And I've been getting people in my DM saying that they haven't received their monies from the pandemic and the stimulus check. So it's kind of crazy how slow they're moving. And I know some systems are bogged down because of the amount of people that's filed, but in the CARES Act, they did allocate the funds to handle or to boost up their system in order to handle those claims. So each state, they knew they was going to be inundated with claims. So in the CARES Act, they did dedicate some funds to administer the pandemic unemployment assistance. Dolores P.A. Hey, I'm from Louisiana. Hello, Dolores. Thank you for joining. Josh Kelly, will there be a second EIDL? Josh Kelly, if you been following me, that bill for S4227, I have my own thoughts about that, and I don't think that's going to be in the bill. Right now, they only spent about $163 billion of the EIDL program. And this morning I took a liberty, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to drop that video probably Monday, to read the bill that they're proposing the bill 4227 for the EIDL program. And really, I mean, they want to strike the amount of $20 billion that they, or was it $20 billion? Yeah, $20 billion that they dedicated for the grant, and they want to put $80 billion instead, you know, to make an amendment on the CARES Act. Some people, if they haven't exhausted the funding, unless they say, oh, the monies that they have not used yet, we're going to put exhaust or dedicate it to another cause, like the EIDL grant, and use the rest for the loan, I sincerely doubt that they're going to add that into the bill. Also, when I went online to look at the actual bill, there's only 5 or 6 senators signing the bill, you know, or that's supporting the bill. It's one Republican and the rest are Democrats. I mean, so I think they have a long way. There's a lot of YouTubers out there saying, oh, we got more support, we got more support. No, they don't. That bill, if you go on congress.gov and look up the bill, S4227, and they're trying to amend the CARES Act and the previous bill that they just passed when they re-upped the funding. They only have like 4 or 5 senators, actually 5 or 6 senators that's supporting that bill. So it hasn't gotten enough steam for them to reenact. And also Steve Mnuchin, he's saying he don't want to give pandemic unemployment. This is the finance guy, the Secretary of Treasury. They don't want to give the pandemic unemployment. They don't want to give and you know, they don't want to give the $600 that amount. And they definitely not going to give extra money to a bill or a fund that's not even exhausted yet. I mean, that doesn't make business sense, you know. Why? So they can have more fraudulent claims? Oh, look how much money we have. Or so SBA won't give out the money and hold it like they've been doing. Okay. So Josh Kelly, I'm sorry to break it to you. I'm just being a realist. You might hear fluff and stuff from other people, but I'm being a realist. I mean, like I said, if we go through a second wave and they probably shut everything down, they might put that in there for the grants, but I don't see that's happening. Brenda Lynn, you haven't received a stimulus check. Brenda Lynn, do you file taxes? If you don't file taxes, you have to do an extra step. And if they couldn't find, if you don't get direct deposit when you file your taxes for your refund, or if you didn't register your bank on irs.gov, you probably won't receive one. But I would suggest you go to irs.gov. I got a video somewhere. If you go to my main page, and I think it's like check the status of your stimulus check, you're able to check the status of it. Brenda Lynn, I just the IRS letter to confirm my identity, so hopefully I will have it after that. Okay, great. That's good. Eddie Harvey, what about the hazardous pay for those who are working in the front line and those in security services? Eddie, you know, that's what the Democrats are trying to pass that, and the Republicans are stopping them from passing it. They're not agreeing to the amounts because I believe the hazardous pay include like a $10,000 bonus or something like that. That was passed in May. That was passed in May in the House. And the Republicans, when they got to the Senate, the Republicans were saying that bill, the HEALS Act, bill that was passed in the House was too much money. It was like $3.4 trillion. So they went back to the drawing board, and as of yesterday, the Democrats knocked the bill down to $2.4 trillion. And the Republicans are at this $1 trillion. And they thought they could meet in the middle, like the Republicans come up some. But no, the Republicans are not budging. That's why we didn't get the pandemic unemployment. That's what else? That's why we didn't get the housing moratorium. It's several things that's in the bill that Trump had to sign an executive order for, and those are and unfortunately the frontline workers, they didn't pass the bill, so we have to wait to see what they're going to do between now and August the 30th. So right now they're on recess, but they have said, Mitch McConnell, the minority leader or whatever, he's mentioned that if they do come to an agreement, they will meet over recess to pass that bill. Josh Kelly, I appreciate your straightforwardness. No problem. I don't have a problem telling you what is what. I don't like to blow smoke up people's butts, because we want to hope for the best. But I really want you guys, this is a business channel, so hopefully most of you are business owners that's tuning in. You have to mitigate and prepare, because if you don't mitigate your losses and prepare for the worst or even the best, I mean, we'll be always disappointed and scrambling to, try to make ends meet or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I'm just being straightforward. Eddie Harvey, thank you for answering. No problem. So, like I said, the housing moratorium, the evictions have been suspended. So, if you were facing evictions, you are hopefully safe from that. That last housing moratorium that was passed initially, there were still people trying to evict people. And if you are one of those renters that your landlord received funding and they try to evict you, that's against the law. They're not supposed to do that. So if your landlord received funding through the disaster loan program and you know of it, they're not supposed to be evicting anybody because they have their money. Even though it's a loan, it's supposed to cover, their losses of whoever's not paying their rent. So make sure, if you know somebody of somebody, make sure they know that the landlord, if your landlord received funding through the SBA, they are not supposed to be evicting anybody. Okay. And also, I don't know how they're gonna stay these evictions, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people as of now that already filed their court papers. So I'm not for sure how that's going to work, but hopefully these judges will just send a notification to the landlords and all that good stuff saying, hey, we have to postpone this eviction, John Garland, they gave the banks in 2018 of taxpayers' money. Now We the people need help. Look how they're treating us. Yeah, they always treat the little guy the worst, because the banks, even the banks, they paid off, all these big head honchos, CEOs. They gave them like bonuses and stuff like that. You're talking about, you said 2018, it was 2008. Yeah, and these bonuses was given out, and some of the banks, they didn't pay the money back, or whatever the case. They fired people, or went bankrupt. So I don't think the federal government ever saw their money back. Valerie, she's saying it's really sad for all of us Americans. Yeah, it is, because you think that the federal government is full of crap. I've been thinking about that. The Democrats and Republicans. It's like, you guys are full of crap. I mean, we have people out here that they don't know when their next meal is coming from. We're supposed to be the richest country in the world, and we're operating like we're the poorest country. As far as this testing goes, the coronavirus, how they're handling it. I mean, you could get a test and you won't get your results back for 7 to 10 days. That sounds like third world country stuff. I mean, so it's like they're not handling this well at all. And who's to blame? You could blame Donald Trump. He's the leader of the free world, but he's really not acting like one. I mean, really. I mean, if you really think about it, he could have been the greatest president ever if he would have nipped this virus in the butt. But right now, he's going down in smokes and flames. I mean, that's my own personal opinion. I don't like to get into politics, though. I just want to, give you the information. Hopefully I can help people. So let's look at what else they're talking about for the executive order. Instead, the order calls for Trump also signed an executive order stating that it was U.S. policy to minimize evictions and foreclosure. The order does not reinstate the federal eviction moratorium that expired last month or fund the assistance Democrats have said is necessary to help people already behind on their rent. Instead, the order calls for the Department of Health and Human Services and the Center of Disease Controls and Prevention to consider whether it is necessary to temporarily halt evictions. The Treasury Department and Department of Housing and Urban Development shall identify federal funds to provide temporary assistance to renters and homeowners who, as a result of financial hardship caused by COVID-19, are struggling to meet their monthly rental and mortgage obligations, the order says. So really, the executive order to halt the federal eviction moratorium is really not to halt the eviction moratorium. I guess they're going to go case by case basis to see if a person can really afford rent or not. That's going to be a piece of crap. Can you imagine all the people that's, facing eviction? They got to fill out this form and stay in the line. and get evaluated. I hope they don't handle it just like they handled the EIDL program. To me, that's ridiculous. The president cannot create new money with an executive order. These executive orders simply shows the limitations of the president's legal authority. Senior members of Trump's administration cast doubt of feasibility of these maneuvers as recently as this week. On the topic of extending unemployment benefits, Larry Kudlow, the director of the White House Economic Council, said, I don't think that can be done administratively. I think it requires an act of Congress. So this is the Washington Post article. So they're kind of debunking these executive orders, saying that executive orders cannot create new money. I don't know. I mean, I guess we have to see what in the weeks coming to see how it all plays out. As far as the housing moratorium, it's really not clear on how they're going to do that. You know, and as of right now, we have 10.2%. 30 million Americans are still 10.2% of unemployment, and 30 million Americans are still collecting jobless aids. And many are dislocated as far as jobs. They don't know if their jobs are going to be restored. So I guess according to this Washington Post, we really have to wait and see. We're still playing that waiting game because that housing moratorium, I really don't know how that's going to work out. You can't extend eviction. Not gonna relieve the landlord if you're not going to provide some relief for the landlord. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. Eddie Harvey, that's because a child can't do a grown person's job. All mismanaged. That is true. Jennifer Harrison received a response today, approved, applied 1st of June. Wow, finally. Has credit been verified upon approval? How long would it be before request of the audit, added documents, tax forms, and business license? Jennifer Harrison, I'm assuming you're talking about the EIDL program. They won't ask you for that unless they're questioning who you are. You know, you just sign your promissory note. You got to go accept your loan amount, and then you sign your promissory. Or once that loan amount is accepted and they approve that loan amount, then they'll send you a promissory note and fund your account. So congratulations. That's awesome. So yeah, people, housing moratorium, that's still up in the air. We have to wait and see what comes, because we don't know. Another thing I want to point out too, the payroll tax cut For I don't know if there why he wants this payroll tax cut retirement. So Medicare, which is this payroll tax cut, Medicare and Social Security comes from your payroll taxes. And so where does that leave the people that needs to draw from Social Security and Medicare? Because literally, majority of Americans, they do not save enough money to retire. So they depend on Social Security and Medicare. So I think it's kind of disastrous for him to do that in the long run. Hey, in the short, it feels good, right? You get this extra $76 per $1,000. It feels good that you're saving some money, but in the long run, when it comes to retire, and Medicare has a shortage or Social Security has a shortage, where does that leave you? Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with that? So I think it's kind of like a dangerous game for, like I said, I don't know I think it's like a hidden agenda about that payroll taxes. I think I said that yesterday too. Jennifer Harrison, thanks a million. Well, thank you for watching. Eddie Harvey, I love your knowledge about this stuff. Do you think it's a good time to go after startup grants? If so, do you know any good grant writers? Yeah, you know what I was thinking about? I just know, well, a few months ago, I did a grant video. And if you want me to do another grant video, I can, because that, I guess, grants is way better than a loan because you don't have to pay them back. So I could do another grant video. And I know a couple of grant writers, they're based out of Atlanta. So I'll get their information and put that in the video. And also you could find me on Instagram, you guys. If you got any questions, you could always Instagram me. I answer my Instagram all the time. So it's Chawanne Burns _ Chawanne_Burns. Thank you, Carrie Wheeler, for that. The $4.99. Really appreciate you. Carrie, I filled out the EIDL, but haven't heard anything in weeks. Do you know why? When did you fill it out? And look at your credit report to see if they pulled your credit yet. So I don't know. I've always said this, SBA last week, I helped a couple of my clients. We filled out the EIDL program. It was last week or the beginning or the week before last. And they got approval right away, like the very next day. But I had another person I filled out, they haven't heard anything back. So is that a good sign? I'm not for sure. So Carrie, you said 3 weeks ago. Yeah, you should be hearing something back soon. Their normal processing time is 21 days. So if you don't hear something back next week, I suggest call them and make sure, hopefully you save your application number and all that. Just call them and ask to speak for a tier 2 rep and see what your application status is. They always say, oh, you're processing or whatever. But they can tell you if you have been approved, they can tell you. They're able to see that in the system. A Harvey, thanks. I stay in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's collapsing big time. But I hear they're trying to push for minority-owned business. Yes, they are. Minority-owned businesses have been hit heavily. Hard. We've been hit hard. So I've, like here in Michigan, if you go to, it's anywhere, go to your economic development, Google it, economic development in your city. Everyone has one. And the last CARES Act, they have dedicated funding for minority business owners. And these are grants, like in your county, in your city. So Google that, and you could find some grants through your economic development club, or I guess your business development office. But like I said, every major city has one, and they might be divided into counties, or to, like, if you live in a major city like Las Vegas. I know Las Vegas has one. So, and if you go on their website and look for grants, I'm pretty sure they have a lot of grants out there. So Michigan, they just, and every 2 to 3 months, they've been announcing, okay, we got another round of funding of $5,000 grants or $20,000 grants, but it's based off your need, okay? And it's based off if you're a minority business owner, or, you know, they've been targeting women business owners. They've been targeting people from 50 or 0 to 50 employees. And then they have separate grants for people that 50 to 100 employees and 100 to 500 employees. So there's grants out there located in your city, but just Google it, economic development. And if you find the economic development office in your city, there's some funding out there, because the CARES Act, they dedicated funding for individual states. Latasha, I received the EIDL offer Thursday, verify my identity the same day, but now it's just saying still processing. Is the application approved, or is the approval actually still pending? Okay, Latasha, did you accepted the loan amount? That's one thing you have to do. So accept the loan amount, you verified your identity. If it still say processing, it usually take a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days for you to hear something, and that's the actual approval. Okay, so once they say, oh, you're approved, and it changed the funding, that's when you are really approved. Okay, and then you'll get funded within 48 hours or something like that. Oh, Carrie, make sure you check your bank account too. People have been saying, oh, I've been approved and I haven't received funding yet. And their bank information, it might be unverified. So make sure that it's correct, because you don't want anything stalling you from getting your monies. Okay, so yeah, back to the payroll tax. And I'm not feeling that. I think it's gonna, you know, long run, I think we're gonna end up regretting that whole thing, because we're not gonna have money when we retire, you know. So people, save up your money. Don't depend on the government, because I don't know if they're trying to get rid of Medicare or what. You know, I don't understand why would they. He was so dead bent or set dead on this payroll tax, and the Republicans and the Democrats did not agree with that, and he signed an executive order for that. So we'll see we will see what happens after that. Housing moratorium, that's questionable too. From some of these articles, they're saying he really doesn't have the power to extend the moratorium, or he didn't write it, or they didn't write it in a language. He's leaving it up to HUD to decide if people can afford rent, or case by case basis. So let's recap. If you just joined us, so the 4 executive orders. The 4 executive orders are pandemic unemployment assistance. Okay, Trump signed into office saying $400 with the pandemic unemployment assistance. However, 75% will come from the federal government, and he's leaving 25% to be paid by the state. Will you get that other 25%? Probably not, because most states are strapped for cash anyway. So he should have just said, or they should have just wrote in the bill or executive order, it's only $300 that they're going to extend. So that's a $400, 75 from the federal, 25 from your state. The second was the housing moratorium. The housing moratorium for evictions and foreclosures, or forbearance on mortgages. Only thing, there's a caveat to that. However, according to this Washington Post, they're not, it's not really extending the original moratorium. It's leaving it up to HUD to decide if, or it's case by case basis, basically. It is basically saying that they're gonna, what is it? I'm trying to find a language right here. Yeah, they're gonna let HUD identify who should get these funds for temporary assistance to meet the monthly rental or mortgage obligation. So he really didn't sign to reinstate the federal eviction moratorium. This is only to identify the people that is struggling to pay their rent because of COVID-19. Rent and mortgages. And I guess they're gonna provide financial assistance to those people. That's, to me, that's kind of sad. So the third thing is the payroll tax. The payroll tax, nothing good about that either. I mean, you save money. Now that we were talking through these executive orders, they're like the suckiest executive orders ever, because the payroll tax is like, oh yeah, we save $76 per $1,000. So if you earn $100,000 or less, you're $76 on 1,000. So every $1,000 you earn, you save $76. That's because Medicare and Social Security tax is basically 7.6% of your monies. Okay, so but this is Social Security and Medicare. So where does that leave you? You pay into your own Social Security and Medicare. So, and that's extended from September to December. Well, not extended, but enacted from September to December. You know, I don't know if that's gonna, you might be happy that you got an extra $76, but really, in the long run, if you don't have Medicare and Social Security when you retire, like I said before, most Americans, they don't have enough money to retire. So that's gonna put a dent in their monies, okay? Probably a disaster. Thank God it was only temporary, right? The next or the final thing is 0% interest on student loans. So if your student loans was in forbearance, normally during a forbearance, you are still accumulating interest rate. But since the pandemic, that forbearance period, you have a 0% interest and no interest is accumulated on your loan. Okay, so that's extended to December the 1st. So that's a recap. And now that we're talking about it, or now that I'm talking through it, I think to me is pretty some sucky stuff, right? You're letting the state handle 25% of your pandemic unemployment assistance, and we the housing moratorium is really not a housing moratorium. You're not extending eviction. You really didn't do that. You just saying, oh, we're gonna go case by case basis. They need to evaluate it if you really need the money. How are they gonna enact that? That's just a paperwork nightmare. And where are these people supposed to go? I mean, they're supposed to go to HUD and fill out an application. You know, I can just imagine that's going to be a nightmare. And like I said, if they handle that like they handle the SBA EIDL program, people are going to be waiting for months and probably still get evicted. And so the last thing is the payroll taxes. You know, so yeah, I mean, they're not. I was excited about it, and now I'm not. Now that I'm, you know, really thinking about it, I'm really not that excited about it. Okay, so Zena Arnold, thank you. You're welcome. Law Matheson, they and their outdated technical systems. You're absolutely right. And Law, you also put suckiest executive orders ever. Yeah, that's my language. I try not to cuss so much since I get kids. Yeah, so you know, let me know your thoughts. Is they, you know what? It's always some BS in the game. I really feel sorry for people that's really, you know, depending on that pandemic unemployment. Now they're only going to get $300. So, because I doubt if the state will have enough money to foot that bill for the $100. So I got about maybe 5 more minutes. Please let me know any questions. Victor Mack, why are we paying taxes? Victor Mack. I guess we pay taxes because that pays the people. I don't know. Yeah, we are heavily taxed, right? Your tax, then you're taxed some more. You're federally taxed, and then they find out after you file your taxes that you wasn't taxed enough. So I don't know. Donald Trump, he doesn't pay taxes, so you might want to ask him how he get away with it. Law Matheson, but I'm an Aries. Not sure how the rest of the zodiac handles it though. Yeah, I guess I'm a Gemini. Some people say I'm facetious, so and crazy at the same time. Victor Mack, LOL. I guess that was funny. So yeah, drop in the comment section. I got a couple of more minutes, and you know, you guys, I know people are struggling right now. Find me on Instagram or Facebook. It's Chawanne Burns. Chawanne Burns on Facebook, Chawanne_Burns on Instagram. And let me know if I could do anything to help you, any information, I will give it to you, you know. If you have any questions about the EIDL process or questions about reconsideration, I am always answer my Instagram. I always answer it, and I always answer it because I you know, I just keep my phone on me all the time. So Law Matheson, that was in a response to me, hey, with the language, it is necessary sometimes awkward live chatting when the conversation moves on. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the artwork behind me is basically Detroit stuff. Yeah, since I'm originally from Chicago, but been in Detroit for about 20 years. Hello, so I'm Deal. Hello, ma'am. Child support took my first $1,200 stimulus money. Will I be able to receive the second stimulus check? Yeah, you should be able to. Hopefully you don't owe child support. Because if you owe, they might be taking that one. Okay. So yeah, that's unfortunate that you had a stimulus check and but you know, I guess, you know, you got to get caught up on your child support for you to take advantage of that. Eddie, don't do Instagram, but I will sign up. Oh, please. Power Players Group. Democrats don't care about us, the people. They should be a law that lawmakers don't get paid until they get paid. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Troop Jr. Can I ask a question I've been asking and yet to find an answer? Yeah, Troop, shoot away. You got a couple of minutes. Alex, speak. Was there any timeline to how long they were extending all these things? Yeah, the timeline is December the 1st. So they're extending the pandemic assistance, unemployment assistance to December 1st. The housing moratorium, I don't even know why he's called that. He's just full of crap. That's supposed to, I mean, they're evaluating people case by case, I guess, on that one. And the payroll tax is between September and December the 1st. So you will be able to, I mean, breathe until December the 1st, I guess. So Troop Jr., since you didn't put your question up on the board, I guess You just could find me on Instagram, okay? So you guys, thank you for joining and tuning in. It's been about an hour, so it's time for me to sign off. I am sending all my good to you guys, and hopefully these executive orders, they will um, put them in action really fast. And let me know if you have any questions on Instagram. And I am sending all my good to you, and I'll talk to you soon.